Hello, everybody. I'm George Williams from Northeast Kansas Library System.
I'm Christopher Brandon from the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
And in this video today, we're going to talk some more about SQL. And this video, I don't think it'll be as long as the last couple because it's a really simple topic that is incredibly useful. And we're going to talk about the difference between using like versus equal in where and having statements in SQL. So I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Can you see the koha-US webpage there, Chris?
I can.
All right. So this is the koha-US webpage. It's at koha-us.org. And there's lots of great stuff here. And you can find these videos that we're doing on the Learn From Us page, along with a lot of other great resources. And if you look over here in the middle of the screen, you've got the jump to, and you can jump to koha-US videos. And somewhere in the next week or two, this video will pop up in there. But there's a ton of useful stuff here. And since we're talking about SQL, this is the Koha wiki. It's at wiki.koha-community.org. There is an SQL reports library there, and there are lots of great reports here. And this is a great place to go and get a report that you think will do what you want it to do. And that's usually where I start making reports, is I'll go here, I'll find a report that's already written, and then I'll build off of that. I'll change it or tweak it. Sometimes I even find that there's a report here that I've written, that I've already written myself, and then I'll have to go figure out why I didn't save it or something, or figure out that I did save it and I just forgot. So.
And I highly encourage, if you come up with a great report, to add it to this library. Also, wanted to point out, we talked briefly about this. There is a section for tips, and we could certainly be adding to that with some of the videos that we've been talking about. We can talk about some of the tips that we've learned. We could add those tips as well if they're not there already. But the Concat tips are in there. There's a lot of examples on the Concat. And so yeah, let's talk about our topic this week with like versus equals.
Yeah, and I've got a few reports that I've written out already. So I'm on the koha-US demo site, which is mostly we've used for some training and some videos. We've got a few reports in here, and I added a bunch the other day that have to do with topics that we're covering. So this first report, I'm just going to put I need to remember what the codes are for this. This is koha-US is one of the locations that we've got set up on our demo server. And so if I enter library code koha-US, this is just a report that's counting items. And it's a really simple report. Yes, we have 11 items in our test system. I think they're on 2 bibliographic records that I added for training I was doing. Let me show the code for this report, but it's a really simple report. It's select items home branch, count items as count of item number from items, where items home branch equals koha-US, and then group by items home branch. So it's a really simple report. And the equals here means that whenever in the data items home branch equals koha-US, that's where we will have a result. The thing about equals, though, is equals works just fine, but you have to have the what you're doing be 100% perfect.
It's an exact match.
It's an exact match. So I've got another one here where I've got the same report But in the code, I've got items home branch like koha-US. So this means if we've got a like here instead of an equals, we can start to use wildcards. So in MySQL, the wildcard character, one of them is the percent symbol. So if I do this first report, if I run it again with a percent symbol here, I'm going to get 0 results because none of my home branches equal percent symbol because it's looking for an exact match. If I do this report, I'm going to get 2 results. I'm going to get koha-US and the north branch.
You're just basically telling it to show everything.
Yeah, the percent symbol here is a wildcard, and it says everything instead of like, instead of equals percent symbol, it's going to do show me like, and then the percent symbol is a wildcard, so it's going to show everything. I could refine this, you know, I could do run report and do I can say show me any branch that has the letter N in it. And there's only one of those, north. Or I could do it and do.
How about an O?
O should get me both because I think they both have an O in them. They do.
Yeah.
So for me, I've got, you know, 54 different locations. So being able to run a report that can find things in more than one location can be really useful. And that's where there's a new feature, there's a new function in Koha. Another thing that you can do is, the last time around we talked about the Concat feature. I'm just going to put an O in here, or a K. Enter the first part of the library code. I'm going to put a K there. And I made a mistake, I guess, in that report. Let's see what I did wrong.
Edit.
I put a, I got a comma where there shouldn't be a comma. So let's try that one again.
Okay.
Run the report. And I'm going to do anything that starts with the letter K. And I get a result because I used Concat. If we actually look at this report, where items home branch equals the first part of the library code, and I've concatenated that with a wildcard. So this way, when I enter that, any digit I enter in there, it's essentially doing a left anchored search.
Nice. And so if you wanted to do where it had that letter or letters anywhere, you could concat a percentage to the beginning of it, correct?
To do that would be a right anchored report.
Well, I mean, you would have on both ends.
Yeah, we
Okay.
could do that too. So let me go back to edit this one. If I did a concatenated in a wildcard there, and then I would want to change the example to any part of the library code. Let's run that. And then we'll put an O in there. This should give me anything with an O in there.
Nice.
This example covers library branches, but if you do the concat like this, enter the first part of library code, and then concat with just a wildcard to the right. I have a report that I use a lot, or that I have libraries using a lot for weeding, where they want to weed by call number. And so my where statement is where item call number, and then enter the first part of the call number. So if they want to do a weeding report for large print, all they have to do is type LP, and it's going to get them anything with a call number that starts with LP.
Nice.
So that's one of the values of doing putting the wildcard at the end or the beginning or both. You can be flexible on where you want that to go.
And all of this is because of the magic of like rather than the
Yes. If you were to do equals here, this would not work because it's going to look for, it's going to actually, instead of considering that percent symbol as a wildcard, it's going to look for the percent symbol as actual text in the title or the home branch name. So the next thing I did though is you could use drop downs in Koha, of course, when you're writing these reports. So if I wanted to do a count at library code equals koha-US, I can run that report. And let me show you what that what that report looks like. Here I've got items home branch equals, and the way that you get that drop down is I've got enter library code, and then I put this pipe here, and then there are certain keywords that you can use after a pipe to generate a drop down that's based off of the what that keyword does. And of course, there is a list of what those keywords are in the tips section of the Koha SQL library. So branches, what it'll do is it'll create a dropdown that's got a list of all of the branches. If you use the name of the code for any of the authorized values tables, it will get you that whole dropdown based on the authorized values tables.
Nice.
And it seems like there's a couple of other keyword ones that aren't authorized values tables, but the only one I can remember off the top of my head is branches. Another one might be patron category, but I don't remember exactly what the keyword is there. So there is, however,
location. Well, yeah, authorized values location. So you could use locate.
Yeah, LOC is the authorized value.
That's one I use a lot.
Yeah. And that one's number 4.
So okay, so that works for an individual library. You can choose a particular library and get the result for that. But what if you needed to get more than that? Can you do that with a drop down?
What a great question. I already have a report designed to do that.
All right.
So let me show you that one.
It's almost like we planned this.
Yeah, it's almost like we planned it. This one gives me an option between all, koha-US, and North Branch. So if I run it for all, I get that 11/2 that we get for all of them. The
Sweet.
difference here, this is a function that Nick Clemens from Bywater added a while ago. If you do the pipe and then the keyword and then :ALL, that will change that drop down so that the top choice is all.
I think this is actually a feature that I had requested in the Koha community. I had said, hey, wouldn't it be great if you could do this? And somebody thought this up and I thought, yes, finally.
It's a really good feature. You have to do the : and the ALL in order for it to work. And that is my fault. Nick was originally writing the feature so that it would always be at the top of the list, no matter what dropdown you used.
Mm-hmm.
And I warned him, I said, I have a couple of reports that if somebody runs it with all, they're just going to shut down our system. They're not going to work because there's too much, the results would overwhelm the system and I'd never get a result from all. And I said, so can you make the all optional? And so he made it so that you have to put the : ALL there. So you had the idea, I had a refinement, and the developers listened to us.
Well, there's one step further. I mean, it's beyond this video, but there's one step further. I have a jQuery that I stick in for my reports, not in the report itself, but I have a jQuery that will default drop downs to your branch.
To your branch, yeah, that's cool.
So, because we use that, we use a custom-made holds queue, and instead of having the library always have to find their library to run it, I just default reports to your branch, which makes it easy. Everybody just loves that. So maybe we'll turn that into a video at some point.
Cool. That's not a bad idea. Now, the important part here is, you know, I just changed that like to an equals. This is what happens if you forget to change the equal sign to a like. If you run it with all, it's not going to work.
The other parts will work, right?
The other parts will work because they're doing equal koha-US and equals North Branch, but all won't work because you can't do equals to the all.
So if we use that all, we have to use like.
Yeah. Yeah, in this case, you have to change, you can't get away with the equals there. You have to change it to like. And once you change it to like, it'll work. Then it works fine.
Cool.
Now, there is another refinement that I have to this. This is something that I actually demoed at koha-US conference in Coeur d'Alene. And what was that, 2017?
It was back there, yeah. It was 2017,
Yeah.
2016, somewhere in there.
I think it was 2017 because I had moved, or it might have been 2016 was Monterey, 2017 was Coeur d'Alene. Because I had been in Kansas for about a year when I got to go back to Idaho. So I'm switching over now to Next Search Catalog, and I'm going to go to Reports. And this is something that I've done in reports for our system. And there's two parts to this. Actually, let me open up let me go to the admin section and authorized values. What I did in our system before Nick had created that all feature is I just created an authorized values table that I called L branch that has an all, essentially it's a complete duplication of all of my library codes. All 50, I've got 57 different lines in here that I added myself to its own authorized values table. And the first one is an all libraries dropdown. But I have 4 libraries in Donovan County, in Elwood, Highland, Troy, and Wadena, and they all start with DONI. So I've got an option in this, if I use this dropdown, called Donovan County Library All. And I've got another set of libraries in the Prairie Hills School District. Their libraries are my only libraries that start with a PH. So I've got PH wildcard, so that when I run a report.
Am I seeing your code is actually your search term that you're using?
Yeah, the search term is the authorized value, and the description is the name of the library.
Slick.
So if I run this report in my system, well, I've got 2 different tables. Number 8 must be the one that does L branch. This gets me the same report with all libraries, or I can do Donovan County Library and run the report. And I have a mistake in this report too. I bet it's that same pesky little comma. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Then we'll try running it again. So this way, the Donovan County branch can run a report for all 4 of their libraries.
Nice.
Because that's one of the things that the function that Nick wrote doesn't do, is it doesn't figure out a way to do groups of libraries. It does all for everything in the dropdown, but there's no way to say, you know, if the first 3 letters of something match, create an all for that. But this way the staff at the Donovan County Library can run a report that just covers their 4 branches, or Prairie Hills can run a report that covers just the Prairie Hills schools.
Very cool.
Because I do have those 2 groups that always work together. And this way, it's just easier for them to get statistical data about their collection from those. And I've also worked the same, done the same thing for patron categories, where all of my adult patron categories start with an A. and all of the patron categories for people under the age of 18 start with an M for minor. I haven't finished that project yet, but this way, you know, I'm working towards a point where a library can say, show me all the adults, and all of those 5 different adult categories will count up at once, and then show me another report that'll show just minors, and so on. I'm working that direction with a couple of different things I'm doing. And this, being able to do this makes the reports a lot easier to use. And the way that you do it is you just create an authorized values table that has some wildcards in it, and then you can call it like any other one of those with a pipe, and pipe referencing the keyword, the table that you want to pull. The one that I didn't get to there, number 7, has the same drop-down, but I use a different authorized values table for that, because I have the same situation that I complained to Nick about. This one has the like Donovan County and like Prairie Hills, but it doesn't have the all libraries, because some of those reports, like I said, if you run for all libraries. So I've got Z-Brand and L-Brand are the ones that call the branches table from the authorized values. Of course, the problem with this is whenever we add something new, I've got to make sure that these tables are kept up to date. So I actually have written reports to tell me which of these tables is out of sync with the actual other authorized values. So I've got reports that help me run better reports.
Very cool. I'll leave it to you to come up with some fantastic workaround. I always appreciate the things that you've come up with.
Yeah. It comes from a mentality where I worked at jobs where there was no way to not work around things. And that's one
Think Koha, you know, we have the community, so we get some good turnaround with great ideas, but we also have the ability to work around things and make the system work even better with jQuery and different hacks and SQL reports with authorized values and whatnot. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you again in a couple weeks.
See you all later.